Arizona. The ripping and the tearing.
Diabetes.
There's no words on it. There's no words there. We'll do it live. That's tomorrow. And that is it for us today.
Coming to you live from Arcane Sublevel 7, It's Talk is Cheap. Now here's your host, Dan Hohlfeld.
Oh, hell no.
All right, go.
Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Dan Hohlfeld, on this Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019 edition. We're here live every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. July 2nd, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, a couple days away from the 4th of July. It's going to be a groundbreaking parade by President Trump. Everybody's either loves it or hates it, or it's just the Democrats are going crazy about it. But he's always promising this big parade before, and it got canceled, and now he's going to do it. So, of course, 4th of July, for those who don't know, America, our independence from Britain, 1776. Who's going to take away your freedom? It's going to be the government, ladies and gentlemen, not some guys with box cutters from overseas and hijacked airliners. And that true story needs to come out because I'm getting sick of it. It's kind of getting bent back into these hijackers doing it. Well, these are basically just patsies. They were allowed to do it. So, little housekeeping before we get started today, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you guys all for joining me in the chat. Looks like a big crowd today. A lot of chatter going on there. That's awesome. Love to see ya. Just a reminder, we are simulcasting on Twitch and Mixer. Those links are down below in the description, or if you don't get them there and we go down off YouTube, because I always try to get this backup system set up if YouTube takes us down, which will probably happen sometime in the near future or further future if we're lucky, that go bookmark Twitch and Mixer. Again, those links can be found on k2d4network.com. So we go down, we'll still be live same time and kind of the same place if you're watching over there or not. Everybody's on YouTube, but once the audience gets relocated, YouTube's bound to fail one of these days, and once it goes down, it will be down. They don't care anymore. They're just all about pushing the left. They want to brainwash you into thinking their way. Also, if you guys have subscribed to this channel on DTube, just a reminder now that you're going to have to resubscribe to that because DTube did some rejetting of their website, changed things around, and they wiped all the subscribers out, and you got to basically go resubscribe on there. Again, that link is in the description, or you can go over to the website as well. All right, now that that's taken care of, big show today. It's going to be pretty packed. I wonder if we're even going to get through all of it. There's a lot of stuff here to cover. I want to touch upon the To the Stars Academy stuff. We've had 5 episodes air. There's one more to air this Friday. And some interesting stuff came out of this last one. So we're going to talk about that and break that down. I want to get into Operation Broken Heart a little bit. And Facebook being set up by DARPA. I know a lot of people have talked about this already. I think it's just important. I haven't covered it yet on this show. And I think we should break that down a little bit, whether it's that letter is true or not. We'll dive into it. And a big crazy thing, California wants to pay gang members not to commit shootings. It's like you can't make up this crazy stuff that we live in. It's like that's a mafia, folks. But before we get into that, I do need to touch upon, of course, Trump making history, ladies and gentlemen, meeting with Kim Jong-un at the DMZ, the first U.S. president to cross into North Korea. Of course, the Democrats and the news media want to say this is all just a show. There's nothing going on here. Now, if President Obama did this, holy cow, folks, it would be the biggest thing ever. He'd be like, your God, worship him. But history is being made. Now, there's rumors that John Bolton was the one that was screwing up these negotiations, and he wasn't at this meeting. So maybe things can finally progress. Now, why does Trump put snakes like that close to him? Maybe to like try to get the deep state in there a little bit and let them think that they have control. we don't know. There's 5D chess going on. He does like to hear both sides, like the warmonger snakes and the anti war people. I wish you'd get somebody like Rand Paul in there or something, just get some good advisors. But you can't, like, the deep state, they know you're on your side. I mean, he's still trying to play this ball game, and it's like, come on, wipe it out. I think he was like signing the executive order yesterday about the IRS thing. I looked at it. There wasn't much in there. I had to write in the comments, like, it's time to get rid of the Federal Reserve. It's time to get rid of the IRS. Shut it down. Ron Paul would have did this. I left it in bold. You know, people are going to love it or hate it, but we got to take some drastic action here. The bankers are corrupt, and they screwed up this country. And now we're trying to rebuild with bad infrastructure like that. It's driving me crazy. But some breaking news before we break down the TSA stuff. This was actually yesterday. Freak hailstorm in Mexico buries cars, swamps streets, and up to 5 feet of ice. I haven't seen anything like this in my life. This is crazy. I'm going to play this clip from Fox and Friends. There's a semi going through all this ice and hail on the street. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy. Oh, now it's not going to let me play it. I had it queued up, folks. Let me just do a refresh here. Yeah. But this is, I've never seen anything.
This is unbelievable. This dropped 5 feet of hail, turning roads into rivers of slush in Mexico. A car is completely buried and roads blocked off. The icy storm slamming the area despite it being 72 degrees. Look at that.
So yeah, climate change, folks. It's global warming. We got to give our money to Al Gore to fix this. Again, that was Sunday that happened in the city of Guadalajara. That's north of Mexico City. And now typically they say that, oh, here's some pictures. I'll scroll through them here for the people watching on the video feed. Never seen anything like this. Again, I'm not saying that climate change doesn't exist. We live on a planet hurling through space. I just to think to sit here and blame man-made climate change, and then even if it is, the other point is, let's just get some real solutions. We have the solutions and they're not bringing it out. Now, this city is 5,100 feet above sea level, which is why they're saying that it does have extremes in weather. But I thought that was just interesting to show and touch upon, because I have never seen anything like that. That's crazy stuff. But again, we could get off all the fossil fuels. The free energy systems are there. I'm not against that stuff. Let's do it. So I don't want to drag that on. Let's go. We got a big show to cover. I'm going to get right into it. Let's get to some music changeover.
Now, changing subjects a little bit.
Okay, to the Stars Academy, ladies and gentlemen. This is the government's official disclosure initiative. If you don't know, you got Tom DeLonge, Louis Elizondo, Chris Mellon, Hal Puthoff. All these guys are former CIA, Pentagon, DOD, all that good stuff, bringing out the government's official disclosure narrative. And that's the whole reason I started this weekly show, because I wanted to keep up on top of this, break news as it happens, stick with it, try to figure out who's going, what direction, what the hell they're doing. Because there's a lot going on here. Their narrative, of course, they want to push this evil alien thing. And it's kind of scary on the surface, because we were warned about this from Werner von Braun, that they're going to play this last card. And it just drives you insane, because it's like, oh, well, they got some good points. And it's like, well, let's see. Well, they're really going to do it, aren't they? They're really going to do it. Now, this last episode, they were getting into the shutting down of the nuclear silos. I'm going to play some B-roll for those watching. the nuclear silos. They talked about the Rendlesham Forest incident that happened in the 1980s that was in Suffolk, England. Again, I think this is just leading into that scary narrative. There's craft we don't know, unknown origin craft, shutting down our nuclear silos. And oh my God, folks, it's a threat. You know, if they had a threat, why wouldn't they coordinate, shut off all their nuclear silos and attack? Not like go back like 50 years, shut down one nuclear silo, wait, shut down other nuclear silos, and then not do anything else. Believe me, if this was a big attack, you know damn well Luis Elizondo would have found an attack somewhere like, oh, this UFO started this war. And maybe they will go to that point, because I suppose there is the Battle of LA that happened, but I think that was just us shooting at a UFO and it wasn't even doing anything. But this was a big episode. They even got into Richard Doty there on screen, who was a misinformation agent for the government to the UFO community. I just watched that Mirage Men the other week. Crazy stuff to feed in disinformation. So again, in that Rendlesham Forest incident, there was a red light in the forest. One of the sergeants that walked up on this thing was John Burroughs. He talked about a loss of time. He had actually saying that after that he got health issues. His eyes, he had a life-threatening scarring on his heart. He went in, they saw that, I believe it was through an x-ray, they saw something on his heart. Or no, it wouldn't be on an x-ray. Whatever machine that does that. They seen scarring on his heart, and I was like, oh, you got to get this checked out and fixed. So, and he did that. But then in 2012, when he went in to get his military disability benefits, this is what was crazy about it, is because they found out his records were basically scrubbed and he didn't exist. Like total, like, if there's not something important here, folks, why would they scrub it? Again, just to push the threat narrative. Oh, he got abducted by these aliens and now there's scarring on his heart. Not to say that that couldn't happen. You know, there is reptilian aliens, if you will. But why would they just like pick and choose? Maybe it's something natural happened. He got close to an EMF drive or something and then it did something. You know, there's so many possibilities. You can't just, it's like me putting my hand on a hot pipe and then blaming the pipe that's part of a craft and saying that the evil craft got me. You got to really think about this in a 4D way. So Richard Doty, I want to touch upon this. Remember, the counterintelligence operative. I didn't know much about this guy at all. And I watched the Mirage Men. Basically, he came out saying he was this whistleblower because this one guy spotted all this craft above a military installation, and to just get him not to think that it was military stuff, they're basically saying it's aliens, just to like put disinformation in there and really muddy the waters, if you will. So people don't know what's right and what's wrong. Now, in the unidentified, they basically, a lot of people are like, is Luis Elizondo another Richard Doty? Because a lot of people think, oh, he's there to give disinformation. One thing that they do stay in here, they state in the unidentified on episode 5, is he had a background in counterintelligence and disinformation. Luis Elizondo did. So it's like his job was to feed disinformation. So you know he's good at it. He's been doing it for so long. I showed that clip a few weeks ago about him giving that speech at a UFO aerospace conference, answering questions and stuff. You can tell he's just bullshitting some of that. Excuse my language, but he is. And that's his job. And he got really good at it. So they insist that they're not deceiving, of course, that there's just some Borg people that came out of the government. They had to infiltrate from the outside, come back in because they wouldn't listen to him on the inside, and then go through Congress and get this conversation going. Luis Elizondo states, and I quote in that episode, "I've been trained to deceive the enemy. You're not my enemy." Well, how do we know, number one? Number two, why couldn't the government use them as a tool? I think a lot of these people that are meant to bring out like disclosure, that, you know, if they get nudged the right way, and this is part of Richard Doty, if they can nudge these whistleblowers the right way, play into their ego a little bit, because, you know, if you get some guy coming out saying, I was in the secret program, this is what happened, you know, for a guy with a show like me, whatever, it's going to be intriguing to us to bring that out publicly for the first time. It's, of course, it's going to lead into that ego. And I think a lot of this infighting in the UFO community is what we have, is all a part of this. Lyndon Moulton Howell being involved in some of that. I think, you know, when she got PO'd about David Wilcock using her video in his presentation, even though he gave credit, it's like, come on, like, don't you want the story out, number one? We're all on the same page. Let's just get the truth out there. As long as he gave credit and didn't take your whole presentation and take credit for it without that's the whole thing with copyrights. I don't mind if somebody takes like a section of this video, comments on it, whatever, reposts it. But, you know, to take the whole thing in its entirety and repost, that's kind of like, okay, then there's something there. But even then, if you just leave it, and this is why Alex Jones is smart about this, he's take the video, repost it. You're just going to get bigger, because when somebody's listening to you and they hear a part or one video that only got posted, they're going to want to hear more. So they're going to try to find the source and go to the source and listen to it, which will bring you a bigger audience. But that is a little harder now with YouTube censorship. But again, to state to the Stars Academy threat thing, you got to trust Luis Elizondo. He's a rogue person that didn't like what the government was doing, coming out and saying there's more here for the public to look at. The last episode, they did tease it, everybody, that it's going to start shifting into talking about aliens finally. So this is the last one. They knew to keep this for the last episode. So I'd say if there's one to watch, it's going to be this one. How are they going to like spin it? I think they're maybe just acclimating the people a little bit to say there is some alien stuff here. Or it could be, let me rephrase that, it could be. They want to keep that possibility because they don't want to say absolutely that it is aliens, even though it is.
It's all public.
So, yeah, with that, Tom DeLonge did do a tweet on, this was June 27th. So he says, everyone will know the reality soon, and unfortunately, it's not just something to laugh at. It's pretty unnerving with some bad news, some good news, and with that in mind, all we can do is deal with it honestly and openly. And I think Grant Cameron responded to this tweet directly to Tom. He says, enough with the evil alien stuff already. So this is meant to push the evil alien thing. And when you watch Unidentified, folks, in the chat, is there a lot of people watching it? Let me know. I'm going to try to do a little poll here while I'm on air live and see if there's a few watching it. They knew, the government knew to groom Tom DeLonge. Hey, we can use this guy to get to the younger people, get it out there to an audience that wouldn't normally look at this stuff. It's so perfect. It's like, let him think he's in control of the narrative. And that's hugely important when you're doing something like this, because you got to let them think that they're in control and running it. But you slowly nudge them here and there. So in the chat here, we got Mike Jackson, seen every episode. Shane says we don't get it out here. Shane, you can actually find a channel on Vimeo that has it. Just go to vimeo.com and type in unidentified UFO, and it'll come up in the search. I don't know how long it'll last, but it's been up there since the first episode. That's where I've been watching them at. Oh, Mike Jackson paid for it on iTunes. You didn't have to pay for it. It's on there, but I don't know how long it'll be there. But yeah, folks. Again, it's all just a technique to steer the alien narrative. And I think they did this with Stephen Greer and also Bill Moore. I didn't know much about Bill Moore. I haven't even looked into him. I'm trying to stay up with the relevant stuff and not go so much into the past because there's so much to keep up with. But again, when I was listening to Grant Cameron the other week too, he was talking about, and I said this last week, but for those who didn't hear it, how Bob Lazar is a part of this. Get him in there, show him some craft. You know, usually you think compartmentalization, you only work on that one craft or that one part of the craft. But they showed him everything. They gave him a history book, basically, with where the craft came from, Zeta Reticuli and all that stuff. And why do that? Because I knew he was in touch with John Lear. John Lear would leak the story, start getting, and this was all in preparation for what we're seeing now, get the public woke to some of this stuff. And Bob Lazar did it for me. That was part of my awakening. A lot of people say, oh, Bob Lazar, he's a fake. I don't think so. I think he's truly seen what he's seen. I don't think he likes to be in the limelight. You can kind of see he's kind of, you know, a little weird and like nerdy that doesn't want to actually, unlike Stephen Greer, who loves the spotlight, loves to have all these conferences and charge an enormous amount of money for them. So, got one more article to cover, I think, before we hit the break. Shout out to the chat here real quick. Shiny Roberts says, who's going to East City? I sure as hell am. Going to be a great time out there. Looking forward to seeing some UFOs. Again, I'll be out there on the 8th through the 11th. They do have the 4th of July conference going on. It's already been sold out for quite a while. Corey Good, Allison Coe, Jordan Sather, the guys from Edge of Wonder, all be there doing presentations. So it will be great. All right, let's do a transfer. Do it now. By the way, folks, if you wanted to call into the show, go ahead and do it. I'll hear your inputs on the To the Stars Academy stuff. If not, I would love to have you plan to call in next week, because next week's, you know, the last episode will air this Friday. Just kind of give a whole synopsis of what you think about it, where the future of disclosure is going, because this is the most important thing in human history, folks. Okay, so I talked about the other week about Project Veritas with the video came out about the censorship with Google, basically admitting that they do censor conservatives and they can say what they want to say. Well, here we go. Vimeo bans Project Veritas Natural News on the same day as criminal tech giants collude to silence independent journalism. So now Vimeo is one of the bad guys as well.
Oh, yeah.
The video platform Vimeo has banned Project Veritas and Natural News on the same day, taking part in the criminal collusion among tech giants who are systematically silencing independent journalism that keeps exposing the criminality of tech giants themselves. Project Veritas has released a bombshell video showing a Google executive named Jen Genai who admitted on camera that Google is engaging in massive criminal scheme to alter election outcomes and silence conservative speech. No, they're straight shooters. They believe in free speech. Every time they go to Congress too, they get these people up on stage or getting questioned. Ask them questions. I don't have access to that information. Well, what the hell do you have access to? I love one of the comments that people put on that video is like, why does Google they said Congress needs to tell Google to send somebody that can actually speak for the company instead of sending these damn broom pushers because they don't know what's going on. It's like they're just told to say this stuff, and it's just like, well, it's just going to be this ending thing where they always say that they believe in free speech. No, they don't. Oh, that's our community guidelines. Of course, community guidelines can be stretched any way they want. Okay, for Veritas, despite being banned by YouTube, the video remained available on Vimeo, BitChute, and Brighton, where it continued to gain huge viewership. Vimeo disabled the Project Veritas account, shutting off all its videos and taking down the particular video that revealed Google's massive criminal enterprise, which is now openly admitted by one of its own executives. And they got a nice little graphic here on screen. Enemies of humanity. They had then Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao, and now it's Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, Jeff Bezos, Sundar, and Tim Cook. That's how tyranny happens. It happens with people that you don't think would do it. Like I own a company. You know, now it's like, it's just because technology is different. We got to think about different ways of control. They used to have to control through the government. Now they can control through tech. So they got to catch up with all that. Of course, there was the quote there with Gen we don't want 2016 to happen again because it just felt like the people got screwed over. Well, the people voted. No, because only people in California and New York matter. You guys are only thinking in an urban environment. So that's that. You're banned. You can't have that. You're banned. So with that, I think we'll go out to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Facebook insider stuff. Confesses all. Gang members getting paid in California. This is crazy stuff, folks, and much, much more. Stay tuned on Talk is Cheap.
Have your voice heard today. Call into the show at 1-605-562-0444. Show ID 146509.
Please hang up and try again.
Hey, Dan Hohlfeld here. I'm here with Pete. Pete, we got a trip planned. Where are we going?
Hey, Dan, we do. We have an exciting trip planned to the East Ranch out in the state of Washington. We're heading out there August 8th through the 11th. If any of our fans and watchers want to come join us, get on eseti.org and book your time now, man. It's going to be a great time. We're going to see some cool stuff and have some fun.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing a UFO.
Big tech giants are censoring people's voices. Subscribe to our backup channels on BitChute and DTube. Go to k2d4network.com for all the links.
Hey, Dan Hohlfeld here from Talk is Cheap. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you about a new, exciting product on our store. The cell phone cases, these just launched. They look so good. They're glossy. It's got the Talk is Cheap logo right there on the back. We got the iPhone with many different models, as well as the Samsung Galaxy series. Show your support for the broadcast. This helps fund the operation and keep things going. Go to k2d4network.com, click over on the store, and check it all out. It's all there. It all helps. Dan Hohlfeld, Talk is Cheap, out.
Hey guys, this is Carrie Walker from Alice Eats the Apple, and you are listening to Talk is Cheap with Dan Hohlfeld.
Enjoying the show? Consider supporting us by donating to our Patreon. Patreon.com/K2D4Network.
Want to listen to the show on the road? Subscribe to our audio podcast. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many more platforms. Don't miss a single moment of Talk is Cheap. Broadcasting into the far reaches of the Pleiades, it's Talk is Cheap.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, for this July 2nd, 2019 edition. Crazy, crazy world we live in. A lot of stuff's coming by quicker, a lot of information out there. It's hard to keep up with some of this stuff. Of course, censorship is the big thing taking the stage now. And with that, this was an article released by American Intelligence Media. And I don't know if some of you read it. This is a very, very long article basically talking about there's this anonymous document that supposedly came from Mark Zuckerberg's lover saying that social media is funded by DARPA And this ties back into the link with a QAnon a QAnon post as well that I'll show in a bit. But basically, Facebook has always been controlled by the government through the people who were at Harvard directing Mark. So Mark Zuckerberg is basically, summarizing this whole article, you got this lover who's close to Mark Zuckerberg, basically saying that he is there's nothing there. He's like a zombie. And you can see that when he's getting interviewed by Congress. Like, people put like the memes up where he's looking like Data from Star Trek. There's nothing there. Getting into how he was broken down as a younger version of himself, getting, of course, acclimated to this, basically an MK Ultra scenario. Start him young, you do what you get him there, and that's why he's not even code worth a damn. They say, try to get him to code something, he can't do it. And it's very interesting. There's a quote here. Lifelog. Okay, now I want to talk about the Lifelog project, because the Pentagon had their own social media thing that they were going to launch. It was called Lifelog. So this article here was from Wired magazine. Pentagon kills Lifelog project. So run by DARPA, the Defense Department research arm, Lifelog aimed to gather in a single place just about everything an individual says, sees, or does. The phone calls made, the TV shows watched, the magazines read, the plane tickets bought, the email sent and received. Out of this seemingly endless ocean of information, computer scientists would pilot distinctive routes in the data, mapping relationship, memories, events, and experiences. And guess what? They killed it on 2404. When did Facebook start? 2404. And it's very interesting, because when you think about it, when you put the puzzle pieces together, you get the Pentagon's coding. They basically built this Lifelog thing. They used what they had to build it. How can we sell this to the public? Okay, let's get some genius boy from Harvard that they basically use as a pawn. They placed him there, groomed him to bring this out, make it look cool. Like, oh, it's, you can get on there, you can chat with people, you can share your life, your movies, whatever you want to do. When it's all, the government works so hard to get information, but now you freely give it because it's awesome and fun, even though it's making people more depressed than anything. When you look at the statistics, you got to get away from that stuff, folks, because your brain automatically wants to post a photo. It wants to get likes on it. And when you get, it's inflating people's egos, and it's really driving a wedge between our communities. So I have the original article here, the Pentagon kills Lifelog project. Now there's another paragraph in here I wanted to read. Researchers close to the project say they're not sure why it was dropped last month. DARPA hasn't provided an explanation for Lifelog's quiet cancellation. A change in priorities is the only rationale agency spokeswoman Jan Walker gave to Wired News. So even then, these people that were in the program were speculating that they got something better lined up. Priorities, if you will. Well, if you got an idea of how to roll this out, it was ready to go. Let's shift priorities. Yeah, in the chat, where did I go? Joe Fusco says, I also heard Zuckerberg isn't his real name. It's Greenberg. That's exactly what this article says as well. Greenberg. So it's just lies after lies after lies with this stuff. Now, here's a paragraph I wanted to read out of this. Surely anyone who has ever worked with Mark knows that his mind is a blank and that he is nothing more than a parrot for the government handlers who created him. Mark is incapable of running a McDonald's. let alone one of the most powerful companies in the world. Not even his name is real, and his identity has always been covered up. Mark was chosen as a child for a CIA training program because his relatives were some of the people creating the program. That's what they do in a lot of these MK Ultra programs. The people that are running the programs will use their own children. What's his name? Andy Bishago in Project Pegasus. His dad was working on the teleportation systems. God, how long ago was that? But he used his son to teleport because they needed at the time younger living. It didn't have as bad of effect if you used a younger person. Because you have good morals, I guess. It's like, why would I use somebody else's children when I can't? I need to be able to say I can use my own child to do that to an extent. Because some of this MK Ultra stuff, it's like, that's not really good morals, but you're experimenting with stuff. So yeah, this whole Facebook thing meant to control and capture people's lives, and it's doing a hell of a job for it now. It also says that he would break down frequently due to the brainwashing and cry about his mother and the torture she let them do to him. This is a very, very deep article. Now, is it true? People are going to say this is fake news. It's definitely a hell of a long read. The thing is, it's like you can't disprove it. It's one of those things you can't disprove it, so how can you really prove it too? There it is. Mark Greenberg did not write one single line of programming source code for Facebook. A lot of people say in his meetings as well is that he doesn't do much. He's just basically a head in his blank. And he gets asked questions too about how did he start Facebook. This was shown in this article, and he always come with the same excuse like, Harvard didn't have a Facebook. Wait a minute. So you're already saying the company name. Once you say Harvard didn't have a social media platform, he says Facebook. I want to play this clip. It's really weird.
The magnitude of what you think you've launched, how big do you think your product or your service is?
Well, it's impossible to tell. When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people. Harvard didn't have a Facebook, so that's the gap that we were trying to fill. And now we're at 100,000 people, so who knows where we're going next. We're hoping to have many more universities by the fall, hopefully over 100 or 200.
So the idea is that he was just groomed. Doesn't even know what the hell it is. He just says, Harvard didn't have a Facebook. Now, I suppose you could take that any way. You could just say that because they were going through all these colleges and adding the Facebook to the system. But wouldn't you say Harvard didn't have a social media? I don't know. I just thought that kind of stuck out to me. And it does say that in this article every time he gets asked how he invented Facebook. Harvard didn't have a Facebook is his go-to answer on that. And of course, them using Facebook to push the leftist political agenda that they were ordered to get Hillary elected. And how do you do that? Manipulation of the votes, which the viewers see on Facebook through the ads and whatever they're getting seen. And that's why they had such a crazy hard time with it, is because there was some good memes and stuff coming back at like pro-Trump people with memes, and they couldn't take it. And there was one more part, I believe, here. They say he's allergic to work was another one. Okay, it was over here. It was a long article, folks. Mark had been told to win the country for Hillary or kill the company trying. Now here's where the important part of this lies, because you got the presidential election coming up. They got the Democrat side. They're talking about, let's break up Facebook. It's too big, blah, 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 blah. Now, this paragraph breaks that down, why it would be a bad idea to do that. So he was being told that he would get a deal with the government charges against the company and would not have to pay billions in fines. The deal would be like the government's deal with Standard Oil when they were charged with antitrust monopoly issues. They were made to break into several different companies, all of which became as big or bigger than Standard Oil itself. Splitting up the monopoly made the owners 7 times richer.
Excuse me.
Yes. So why wouldn't, if that's what the narrative they want to go with, yeah, like push that in a Democratic debate. Yeah, they got to break it up. They got to break it up. Boom. It's going to be worth even more out of control. Says he wants Facebook to be broken up instead of answering for the crimes he willingly committed. When Facebook is broken up, the new companies will have the Eric Schmidt Dragonfly social credit system built in. Now this ties in with the cryptocurrency as well, because now Facebook came out with their own cryptocurrency. Surprise, surprise, the markets are doing better in cryptocurrency. When you think about this, they probably crashed it on purpose, got it down low, got these fat cats to buy in, so now they can make more money on all this stuff. So the idea is, with the social credit, they're going to use the cryptocurrency that's called Libra, the Facebook coin Libra, to basically everybody's going to use it. And then pretty soon, if they really wanted to, they could just shut it off, change the value. And of course, who's going to, I can't believe enough people would be dumb enough to trust Facebook to, after everything they did to you, why would you trust them with your money? I mean, I already kind of want to really shut mine down, but it's hard because with the channel, and that's where people are to get a hold of you. But what do? It's crazy. Yeah, it'd been nice to buy into Bitcoin again when it was lower. But now it's up high again, so I don't know. It gets scary when it crashes like that. But, yeah. All right. That's all I want to cover on that. That was pretty long as it was. I want to get into some more crazy news going on in California.
They're taking DMT.
So let's transition on over.
I'm a police officer.
Crazy stuff here, folks. You can't make this up because this crazy state of California, of course, I shouldn't bash it too much. There's actually a lot of people in California that listen to the show. I've been looking at the numbers. That's where the biggest numbers for the podcast are, is coming out of California, surprisingly. But California City proposes giving cash to violent gang members not to commit shootings. What? Huh? Did we hear that right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Why would you do that? So after a 3-2 vote at a Thursday city council meeting, the local government of Fresno is set to authorize city leaders such as Mayor Lee Brand and Fresno Police Chief Jerry Dyer to determine whether the Advanced Peace Program should be implemented. If city officials determine that the program is viable, it could be budgeted up to $200,000 in taxpayer dollars to dole out to gang members as a supposed deterrent against committing shootings and other violent crimes. What the hell?
No.
Fresno will not be the first city in California to implement such a program. Well, that's a surprise. The city of Richmond is where the Advanced Peace Program debuted and has since spread to Sacramento and Stockton. Richmond gives gang members who claim they have given up violence $300 to $1,000 per month.
Slowly but surely, it's all happening.
There is no data showing these programs are effective in combating crime, but that hasn't stopped liberal cities throughout California from pushing them away. This is like the definition, folks, of a what's the word? I just had it on my head and I forgot about it. It just left my head. Anyway, $300 to $1,000 per month. Oh, please don't shoot us. A liberal city in California. Here's $1,000 not to do it. Oh, you better pay us more next month. It's not going to be enough. Mafia. That's the word I was looking for. This is like a mafia thing because it's like you're paying them not to destroy. So if you got they had a business, oh, you better be careful with crime around here. If you don't pay us money to protect your business, so they would have to pay them this money to not have stuff happen. But of course, they were the ones creating stuff happening. All of that, folks. This is beyond crazy town when you say, let's just pay violent gang members not to commit shootings. Let's not discipline them or lock them up or deport them or whatever they need to do. Oh my God, that's not very liberal. Let's just pay them some money and maybe they'll go away. It's like, it's not spanking your child after they do wrong. Oh, you're rewarding us, so we want to do it more. So you're paying us $1,000 not to cause violence. Maybe we can get more if we cause some violence. Say you got to pay us more. See, it just never ends instead of just stopping it in its tracks. But this is crazy town of liberalism, folks. And I know people can't handle that. But it's beyond crazy on that left side. It's kind of funny. I had a person email me and said, is that right? You're a Trump supporter? I've been subscribed to you. Are you a Trump supporter? I was like, I can't speak for the other hosts, but yeah, I am. Oh, okay, thanks. I'm unsubscribing. It's like, all right, cool, man. He's a president that actually did something ever in my lifetime. Granted, I wish he was more hardcore on the IRS, Federal Reserve, knocking those down, bringing out free technology, but he's making more progress than any other president from my point of view. Now, if you're a elitist, I suppose he's deprogressing for you. So that leads me into my next article very nicely now, because we had the one side. Now here's the other side. New York man faces felony charges for defending his home. You're a law-abiding citizen. You can't do that. A 64-year-old man in New York is facing criminal charges simply for defending his home. Ronald fired on and killed two robbers, a 57 and 27-year-old, after they broke into his house. Not only saved his own life, but also kept his house from being robbed. Yet, according to police reports, he has been charged with the felony possession of an illegal handgun. He used his deceased father's gun, which was never registered under his name, to kill the suspected robbers. Again, folks, you protected yourself. Oh, wait a minute. This ain't registered. What? That's why we got to get rid of this whole, it's a tool. We got to treat it like a knife. Yeah, I suppose you can't let, any shop go up there and let anybody, let people that are mentally ill buy these things. But the way this is being done, this guy is obviously trained. He knows what he's doing. He saved himself. And now it's like all this stupid political talk stuff that just screws the country up. I would love it to have national-wide carry, because there's an issue with the plane system. That's why you can't ever take your concealed gun with you on a plane, because I could get on a plane here in Wisconsin, and let's just say I'm traveling up to Vermont, where it's very gun-friendly at this point in time. You actually don't even need a concealed handgun license. You can actually open carry and concealed carry without that. But let's just say there was bad weather and you had to divert and land in New York. And this happened to a UFC fighter. Boom. You're in New York, where you're not allowed to carry. You go to jail, you pay the fine, all that stuff. It's just ridiculous, these laws. And trying to manage this is even more ridiculous. How can they be against you defending yourself? But that's the crazy times we live in. I'm hoping to see a change. We get national carry. There's a lot of, I think there's a bill in for it. I should look on the progress of that, because I'm curious on where that is. But things stall. when they should be passed. Okay, let's change over. Joe in the chat, I got to address your comment here because this is going to be probably hard for me to address this on air, but he says if someone broke into my house, I would shoot him in the leg or something, and not a kill shot if possible. Well, that's an issue in of itself, because then at that point, he is alive and he can take you to court and say, I think this happened before. I can't remember where, but I did hear a story about this where there was a robber breaking into a house and he actually fell down and got hurt. And then the property owner got in trouble. It's like, what? This stuff is like crazy the way this works. But yeah, they could claim anything. You know, they could get a good lawyer to take you to the court system is rough. I'm not saying to kill somebody directly, but you kind of got to think about it if it happens, because that's rough. Let's transition on over, get some groovy music going here.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want to touch upon this article real quickly. This has actually been out for a little while. This is on the United States Department of Justice. This was on June 11th. Operation Broken Heart. Nearly 1,700 suspected child sex predators arrested during Operation Broken Heart. The Justice Department today announced the arrest of almost 1,700 suspected online sex offenders during a 2-hour-month nationwide operation. Now, this is part of the whole cleaning house and actually connected in with the Hollywood stuff, the pedophilia, bringing down the house, tied in with Q here. Again, the media doesn't really want to cover this. There's been a lot of this stuff happening, and you have to go to non-real news sources that some people say that's fake news or whatever, but they ain't going to tell you on CNN, and even Fox has been bad about not covering stuff. This stuff is happening. Task forces in all 50 states through the months of April and May of 2019 investigated 18,500 complaints, and this was technology facilitated. They could bait these guys and bring down these pedophilia cartels. This is William Barr saying the sexual abuse of children is repugnant, and it victimizes the most innocent and vulnerable of all. So there was a lot of that being brought down. I think that has a lot to do with the indictments as well. And I think we can start seeing, well, I mean, obviously it's cleaning stuff up. We always want, and I get accused of this myself, you want to see the big stuff fall. There's a lot of happening. I want to see Hillary Clinton go to jail. I want to see Obama go to jail. These are victories, however you take them. I mean, I guess it's a big victory when you think about it. But it's just the satisfying of seeing Clinton, go away. That would be so great. But yeah, it's very yeah, Terry in the chat says it's ridiculous that the homeowner can be arrested and taken to court with a lawsuit. That's the thing. Yeah, and even like me having the show, and I could say something wrong, I could get taken to court and sued, and it really makes you not want to do anything, because you don't want to lose everything. You bust your ass all your life and just to lose it over some stupid, oh, he said this about me, and if they can, with the money system, you can pay the highest person to angle it their way. All right, I think I'm going to cover one more thing before we wrap up today. I thank you guys for joining me. We got 71 currently watching. Much appreciated. Let's get some changeover music.
The ripping and the tearing.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So here's a very interesting thing. I thought I had to show this. Now this was on RT. Angela Merkel. She's got the shakes, ladies and I got the shakes. I got the shakes. German Chancellor Angela Merkel. So she met the Ukrainian president here, and she just started shaking when when they stand there and listen to the band play. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna have to mute this. But for those watching, it doesn't look too bad right now. She's just standing there. I was starting to wonder if anything was gonna happen. She starts shaking and starts getting really bad. Now, this particular case, they wrote off to her being dehydrated. Oh, she got some more water and she was fine. It gets really bad. If I was that Ukrainian president, I mean, you got to sit there standing straight, but he's got to be seeing that out of the corner of his eye. She is really shaking. Sure, Sean in the chat says Hitler's daughter, Parkinson's. Yeah, because there's rumors of her being Hitler's daughter. And we know, I started looking at Hitler a little bit. It looks like he had Parkinson's. He had his hand, but when he was shaking people's hands, his back, the hand behind his back was starting to shake. That's really bad right there. Look at that. I mean, at some point, it's like, they're supposed to stand there all stiff and watch, but you want to be like, where's your humanity to like say, hey, are you all right? So Mike Jackson says, palsy in an elderly person is not unusual. Now he looks over a little bit. That's a long shake. At that point, you're just wondering, all right, can we walk? And there it goes, finally. So very, very interesting. Now, I would just let that one go, except later that month, it happened again. This was with the German president. So let's play this clip here. And she's up by the podium, he's speaking. And it starts going, she was offered water and she refused the water, so we know it's not from dehydration, because if it was, she would have gladly downed that cup of water. So you almost kind of think this is like a Hillary Clinton kind of thing going on. Bad health. But as a leader, that's not good. It does make you look weak. But I thought that was interesting to share. Will she have a collapse like Hillary Clinton did? Who the hell knows? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for joining me today. Again, for those who just showed up, there's still room at ECETI if you want to come join us. Pete will be with me. Actually, I'm going to meet Pete out there. He's going to go out there for a work thing, and I'll meet up with him at the airport. But you can join us August 8th through the 11th. Go to eceti.org. Going to be a great time. We're going to see some UFOs. James Gillen was one of the people who woke me up to the UFO subject. Now, to kind of come full circle, that was back in 2006, ladies and gentlemen. I always thought, I'd like to go out to that ranch. Well, now it's going to come full circle. I'm going to get to go out there finally. Again, no big conference at this one. We're just going there to enjoy the environment, each other's company. A couple people emailed me already saying that they're going to see me there. It's going to be great to make that connection again. I had this down in Sedona to meet mind-like people, and you can just easily have that discussion and get along with people. It's great to feel that. So like I said, if you were on the fence about coming, or I don't really know anybody there, but you watch the show, it'd be cool to hang out with me and Pete, whatever. We'll be there August 8th through the 11th. You can join us. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to call it a day, a week, and we'll see you next week for some other crazy news. Again, Unidentified, last episode this Friday. Would love to hear your thoughts next week's show. Call in. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Visit k2d4network.com today.